This is the park near where I live, and I am looking for a place to film the 2022 forecast video. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. I actually was here yesterday to scope it out because not all hiking trails have a place where you can settle down and not be interrupted. This is a good option though, because there's a lot of like little foot trails that lead to nowhere that like not many people take. So, hi Shadow. This is a good option, and when I was here yesterday on a Saturday, like at 10, I didn't see a single person on this trail, so I thought this is perfect. So I'm here, came back today with my gear. Oh, it's nice to finally be able to get out of the house and film one of these. Lately I've just been filming from my studio because there's nowhere for me to go. Well, now I found a place to go, but also it takes time, you know, like some of these places that I wanted to explore are far from my house and I just haven't had the time. But this place is a gem. It's very close. It took me like, I don't know, 12 minutes to get here, and it's very, very peaceful. I just wanted to share this with you before getting into some numerology stuff. And I'm kind of just hoping too that like this looks good. I hope that this creates a nice little peaceful moment for you to set the stage for what we're going to talk about. I know the eucalyptus is invasive. It's probably not the best thing for this ecosystem, but God, it smells so good. Trader Joe's sells eucalyptus for, I guess, like either as a floral arrangement or for just good smells. But like, you can just come out here and take some for yourself. It's everywhere. Of course, on the East Coast it's not, but it's just everywhere here. Found this hole yesterday. It's got honeycomb. My guess is a badger, right? Does that make sense? Oh, might try down there, but it seems quiet enough to be out here in this open space. Still kind of early, so it's a bit chilly. So if I could get a spot with filtered sunlight, that would be spectacular. I think I've found my spot. It's a bit uneven here. Might have to shift around a bit, but this is great. I have great lighting. I think that the more the sun rises, I think I'm gonna have to put my sunglasses on. But I'm just really grateful to be out here with you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for following me, for those of you who have been on my channel for a while. On the year of 2022, I have been dreading making this video for a bit because a lot of reasons. There's a lot to talk about. And I always fear that like I'm gonna make the video and then leave out some crucial details, having been distracted by whatever I was harping on, you know? When you start making a video, it's really easy to just get like on a train of thought and then you neglect something. So to try to avoid that, I'm actually going to try to make this video be an embodiment of the 6th year itself that we're about to have, the year 2022. A year that's supposed to be about harmony and peace and most of all slowing down. So I don't think this is going to be like the kind of video that's a bit of information for you to consume. This is about getting back into our heart space and slowing down enough to notice nuance and to notice the dew on grass and the sun filtering through the trees and the gnats flying around in the early morning sun. And this is all done on purpose. This is the kind of mood, the kind of energy that we need to be setting ourselves up for in our psyche as we enter January. Last year in my 2021 forecast video, I took a moment to actually talk about the 2020 forecast video that I made. It was like kind of a year review. So I'm going to start this video out the same way. I'm going to talk about, what happened in 2021, what I got right, what ended up happening, and go from there. So, the theme for 2021 was change, and those of you who have been on my channel know that. And this happened in many ways. We saw this happen. The acceptance of death, of the normal, I think was a crucial part of this year from my perspective. Those of us who have accepted that death of what was normal, I think, are in a much better place now. Those who haven't, those are still holding on, will continue to have a very hard time throughout the 2020s, or honestly the 2000s, if you can grasp that, like 1,000 years. This entire year we have been adapting to a new way of life, and I had the Tower card illustrated in last year's video to highlight 2021. And indeed, our foundations have been shaken. I think the biggest thing to take note of is what we're calling now the Great Resignation. It is this, the seeking of a different way to live and work. And we are abandoning the system. For all of us, maybe slightly different reasons. Some people are landing in soft places. They have a family support system that can take them in while they figure stuff out and transition to another job that's better. And then some people are really putting their foot down. Maybe they don't have a soft place to land, they don't care anymore, and we're all collectively doing this together. We're all leaving those jobs that are futile. They're futile. They're not going to support our existence here, and it doesn't make sense to continue on the way that we have. So we're seeing this now. This is very much represented by the Tower card, and that's why the Tower card is often very scary in tarot. It's very it's got a bad rap because it is immense change. It is the shaking of foundations and shattering things so that they're no longer the same, but this is a good thing. This is what we needed. So now we have a labor shortage. We're trying to take back our freedom. There is an ongoing class war, and I did mention a civil war, a potential civil war for the year of 2021. That's ongoing. I mentioned the Aloha Keakua song in that video, the 2021 forecast video. The key lyric in my mind that was ringing constantly is this concept of bodies on consignment. We've woken up to that's what we are, more so than we've ever have. There's still, of course, always going to be people who are in the dark and not willing to accept or look at anything. Really, it's just a matter of looking at things now. But we understand that we have just been bodies on consignment, and slavery didn't end. It just evolved into something different, a different kind of empirical nature of capitalism. And we don't, there's inflation, but also there's no, all the money has been hoarded as well. So it's a complex situation here that we have going on. And most importantly, I think more than ever, we have been looking at things so that they can be transformed, which is what I had said in that video. So go check out that video, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet. And here we are now in 2022. Of course, when you watch this, if you're watching it when I'm posting it, it'll still be 2021, and there's still a lot of potential change left in the year, that's for sure. A lot of potential shaking up the system, and that will be ongoing for sure. This was just a point of initiation, but here we are now in 2022, and I don't know whether to be very concerned or very excited about this year, and here's why. What made 2020 so abrasive, and what I've already mentioned, but just in case you're new, is that it wasn't just a 4-year, which is like a number of obstacles, but there was also this 2020 repeating sequence. 2 being division, being a very dualistic number of needing balance. We also had that 0 there repeating, which was this void energy, right? We kind of have the similar thing. We have this very similar thing going on in 2022. And so not only in the 9-year cycle are 4 and 6 linked in a very unique way, which I will elaborate on, but it's also the fact that the way that we're getting to those numbers for this year, it's very similar. So I think that this is a unique continuation of 2020, what we're going to be seeing in 2022. The 5-year, the 2021, was a spacer, a thing to like shake things up a bit so that there could be this pause and this change that we needed to put a period on one sentence and continue another, if that makes any sense. But I must also elaborate on the 4 and 6 energies, 2020 being that 4-year and 2022 being the 6-year. Okay, respectively, 4 is home, 6 is also home, but there is a difference, okay? So 4 is like a structure. It's like when you lay plans out and you lay a foundation and you come across problems that need to be solved. And 5, the following year, just might develop some crazy pathway through that. It's a bumpy ride and you take it. But then we get to the 6. And suddenly those plans that were laid out for 2020, the 4-year, suddenly the chapter that we had where we wanted to begin a new project or have a new foundation or develop, a systematic goal or objective, suddenly that manifests itself typically in the 6th year, but not always in the way that we had expected, and mostly in the form of responsibilities. Guess what? You got what you asked for, and with that usually comes a long list of responsibilities. And so the number 6 is also associated with responsibilities in this way, typically towards your community, your family, your friends, but it doesn't have to be. It could be something involved with your work. Your work is a community, like the people that you work with. You might have really wanted to manifest a new job and now you finally get it. Now you have like a new work family potentially. You have to learn how to like perhaps work with these people. This is just like one example. Please try to bring it back to like how would this look in the collective as well. But I do want to try to make it interpersonal as well, because that's how we as humans understand things, even on a larger scale. So in the 4, we had this framework, this foundation. Okay, we set the stage with plans. It was structure. It was this theme of here's an obstacle, now we have to deal with it. Here's an obstacle, now we have to deal with it. And we've looked at those things now, thanks to the 5-year. In the 6, we need to explore what this newfound structure needs to feel like. And this is a healing process. This is a healing journey. My prediction for this year is that going off of this repeating number 2 that we have, I think that this could be a year of extremes. You know, I think that people who have done the work, who have been addressing the very hard stuff for a while now, etc. I think that potentially people are going to be doing better. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we do have an incredible amount of people who are just trying to tread water and are just trying to stay above the surface and survive in every way, shape, or form. Okay, so you know, just today I was wondering, like, how are families doing? You know, I'm a single person working at an accredited university that needed a degree to get, and I'm living in a small studio apartment, living paycheck to paycheck. And lately I went to go get lunch when I didn't have time to make food, and it's like $16. So I've just been either going without food or not making lunch anymore, you know, or just like, you know, eating only groceries and getting by with what I have, and staying at home on the weekends. And you know, gas is $5 a gallon, so I can't even afford to like leave my house for the most part. So you know, I was in this state and I was wondering, like, how are families doing right now? If this is this bad for me, what are other people doing? And today I just saw an NPR article, this very sad story that is honestly the story of a god, like a major portion of Americans right now. I wanted to say most Americans, but that's a generalization, you know. It's really a spectrum of poverty that we have here. And this article is about this family having to live in a car, and the parents are like working at Walmart on $18 an hour, but like a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,800 a month, and their kids, there's just like this family of 5 living in a car, and that's okay in this country. And living in a car so that their kids can go to a specific school district with the hopes that they'll have a future. I hope that they do. But what I'm getting at here is that we will have these extremes. We will have people finally having that way forward, and then we will have people who are getting deeper into this everything, this poverty, this mental illness. You know, maybe aren't necessarily impoverished, but God, there's just so many mentally ill people who are getting so much worse, and I've seen it in 2020, and people have lost their minds. Like, I don't know what the heck's going on, and yet I'm meeting all these really interesting people at the same time who are like finally making strides, either in their career or they've figured out, you know, some sort of personal wound that they've needed to move forward with, and they're like actually moving through it, and so much progress. So I think that we're gonna probably see a lot of that this year. People moving backwards and forwards at the same time, extremes. The 5-year was a spacer between these two stages, and the challenges that challenges the norm, sparks change, and calls for new approaches. So people willing to accept that inconvenient truth that I was talking about in the 2021 video, I think they're better off now. The 6th global year. Okay, let's get into the thick of it now, okay? This is the healing journey. Some key words I have here are health, harmonization, balance, responsibility, and community. I would like to continue last year's imagery of that wave, that huge wave that was crashing down on us, or waves, you know, just choppy water in general. And I made it this kind of, I don't know what to call it, allegory, or, you know, picture of having to overcome this wave, not by avoiding it, but diving right down into it. Again, watch the 2021 video if you haven't yet. But continuing this imagery, okay, we had these crashing waves, and I would like you now to imagine these waves receding now, okay? And when they recede, much like after a storm, we have this eroded shoreline left, exposing what was underneath, you know, exposing artifacts that were hidden beneath the surface, and these exposed artifacts, now vulnerable to the light of day after the year that we've just had, needs to be addressed. It needs to be healed. This is the 6th year. This is this point of vulnerability where after that chaotic year, we really just need healing. The number 6 is the nurturer. Okay, it's about, taking care of others, taking care of yourself. Those of you who have watched my repeating number 6 video, I titled that The Obligation to Others and Yourself. This is the theme of this year, okay? It's about feeling connected to, a community, to something. And it's easy to feel this way after everything that has happened. You can try to hide from the world forever, but eventually you will want something else. After 2020 with our quarantine, and 2021 with the being probably too caught up in change to slow down to do anything else. This is the natural progression of this situation, whatever it is, okay? Whether it's a new friend or a life partner or a new home, attaining this calls for healing. So I think that this is a lot of taking accountability in your life's dilemmas, understanding what's already good and what could use work, but most of all, the collective needs to open its heart. And I started talking about in October's reading, this is a process of opening your heart. This year is about getting healthy, okay? We need to get our emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, financial health in check. All these things require an incredible amount of healing, and it's almost too big of a task to grasp. It's overwhelming, and healing is messy. And so I think this year will take a lot of surrender from the collective. If you look at the wound of this collective, our heart has been broken. And I think people hear the broken heart dilemma, right? And I think they think, when they have a breakup and stuff, but it's not just that. Life breaks our heart when someone we love dies, when we don't get the job, any kind of rejection, when we are so busy surviving that we haven't done anything else, when we thought we could trust a friend, but they have other stuff going on. Life has broken our heart. This is very difficult. Being a human is very hard. Much like in my cover photo on my Facebook page, there's 2 stars. 1 star says to 1, the hardest thing that I've ever had to do was be a human. And the other star says same, or something like that. It's just, this is nuts. This life is crazy. Our heart is broken, mutilated, suffocated. We've all had this human experience, and life does that. And it's when we enter these 6 years that it can be pretty emotional, and yet so cleansing at the same time. So difficult, yet so healing at the same time. At the end of it, it's truly worth it. And I don't know what to take from this, but I kept seeing a bleeding heart when I was reflecting on and meditating on what 2022 is gonna be like, what it feels like. Maybe not necessarily events, but what 2022 feels like. And it was very similar to the Sacred Heart imagery in Christianity, okay, which is basically about love, it's devotion to mankind, and sacrifice. And it's an incredible symbol, and understandably, used a lot because of it. And like I said, I don't really know how to elaborate on that, but that's what it kind of feels like right now. Okay, now let's talk about some advice. What should we all do in 2022? Okay, I've spent a great deal of time expressing concern for this year, but truly, This year has a lot of potential. Whenever you have repeating numbers, I always say, think potential. The first piece of advice that I need to give, hopefully you have stayed on this long watching this video, the first piece of advice that I need to give is to slow down enough to experience everything, to just experience. And when you're able to slow down enough, you kind of like experience the simplification of life, and that's how it should be. That is how you experience peace. And this is very hard to do, I understand, but you know, I can feel it. I can feel the need for my life to be more simple. Yeah, like I might have more responsibilities next year, and I'm probably going to be in the same exact grind that I have been for the past few years, and it might even be worse. But if we surrender to this and make it, you know, less complicated than it needs to be, then it transforms. I don't know how to explain it. You are better able to handle everything. You know, when you slow down enough, suddenly there's more time to get all your tasks done. You know, suddenly, you know, that weekend feels a little bit longer, you know, it's so on and so forth. So my first advice is that we need to slow down this year. The next is to be cautious of burnout, okay? Take time to process your feelings. Don't try to just push them under the surface. This is a very vulnerable time. Like, you can no longer just shove everything under the surface. And this is self-care. Self-care is the theme of 2022. Get involved in your community, whether that be at work, whether that be at home, or wherever. Open your heart to different approaches and open your heart to healing. And this will bring new opportunities. I think this year has an immense potential for new opportunities. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's like a hawk or some kind of bird of prey calling. And I don't know birds, so I don't know what kind, but I hope you can hear it on the camera. Ask for help, okay? When you need help, you need to ask for help. And if you're like me, you're not lucky enough to have people, and you don't really have people to turn to and ask for help. So my advice for that is to just, you know, sit down in your quiet space. I like to do this like before bed or like when I wake up in the morning. And I like to just say, you know, dear guides or whatever, maybe people who've passed on, etc. My support team, whoever you are, thank you so much for helping me in my life. Thank you so much for helping me throughout everything. And I need help with this. This is too much for me to handle on my own, and I need your help. And I know that you can see more from your vantage point, and I need that assistance. Whatever you can provide, I am grateful for. And just something like that, you know, make it your own. But like, you'd be surprised what happens. I don't think that, you know, you're gonna get everything that you want, but you'll at least get what you need with that. You need to ask for help when you need help. Don't neglect your responsibilities this year. You know, chances are, if you had a typical 5-year, you know, 5 global year, your personal year is something else. If you've had that typical year, some things were put on the back burner. This is time to address it. Make your home feel like home, okay? Make it feel special. Make it feel like you are happy to exist in that space. You know, buy the fancy dessert, light some candles, you know, sage your space. Make sure you have a really nice morning playlist to wake up to, you know, like all this stuff. This is very helpful. This is helpful in, you know, cultivating self-love and the self-care and everything, okay? Get creative. 6 is a very artistic number. These are the musicians and the painters and everything, okay? This is a time for emotional release. So when you're processing, be open to the fact that you need to be able to put some things down in order to move forward. I had to change out the SD card, so if like the frame is different, that's why. But that's basically the gist of 2022 in summary. I think that, something that I didn't really mention a lot that can be a major theme in the number 6 is family. So, issues coming up with family, we might find ourselves either willingly or unwillingly spending a lot more time with family. That might be because we're craving that interaction and we need it, or something happens and we end up, seeing people a lot more because of it. So that's always a possibility. But I think that this is a year that can help create a healthy home environment. Personally, I think it's very important to be picky about who is in your home space. Something that I find very strange personally, and this is just me that finds it strange. I know it's not like this for most people, but like how most people are just able to cohabitate and just live with people and be happy like that. Like I'm such an introvert, but like here's my thing, okay? I don't belong in the world. So I have to make one, and I have to make a physical space, which is my, living environment where I go home to sleep and work and etc. I need to make that space completely mine so that I have somewhere to belong in the world. That's how it works for me. And I, require like a peaceful space. I've spent my entire life trying to cultivate peace, which is the theme of the 6. I've spent my entire life turning away from dysfunction, the people that cause that dysfunction, creating healthy boundaries, which is what this year is all about. I've done this work, and I look at other people and I'm just like, how can you just like live with other people? And it's crazy because unfortunately you have to have roommates. You have to have, it seems like, a significant other in your life in order to just afford life. And I've been stubborn because I just can't think of anything worse than having to live in like an abusive situation, or live in just like an awful, unhealthy situation where this person, I have to come home to this person every day and they're just creating all this dysfunction and like, I don't know, just general disruption of peace in my living environment where I have to sleep and like live every day. And that's what it's like for a lot of people. And I'm telling you, like, this is the year, if you want to leave a situation like that, to do it, to open your heart to a new home life that can literally change everything. That's kind of my opinion. Like, I think that success, whatever that is, starts with who you surround yourself with. So that takes a lot of cutting people out. Look at your community, identify what you don't want to be like, what you don't identify with, especially when you're young and like your friends are growing up. You notice, I think, a lot of them change for the worse, and you have to make that decision eventually. Do I want to be like these people? Because if you're cohabitating with them, you're hanging out with them, you're spending a lot of time with them in general, either consciously or subconsciously, you end up becoming like those people, and that creates a block in your life. So this is also very much deeply involved with your community and deeply involved with your home life. And so to me, I think that we're going to have to kind of pull it together this year as a collective, figure out what we need, what's no longer serving us, what's hindering our health, cut that out, and in doing so have this newfound peace that gives, just opens up so many doors, opens up so many new doors that we didn't even know was there because we were too busy dealing with the dysfunction or whatever the thing was, okay? So I feel pretty good now. I really just hope that, those who are following this channel are able to like tap into this peaceful bliss that can occur in these times, and tap into the quiet, and understand that love is so much deeper than your interpersonal relationships, your human relationships, which are flawed, okay? They're flawed. Love is ethereal. It is connecting to everything. It's oneness. It's beauty in all its forms. It's more than my words can articulate. This is accessible this year. This is the potential. This is where the new opportunities lie. And I'm looking forward. As concerned as I am, I'm also looking forward to this potential. I'm really glad that we made it here to 2022. Be proud of yourself having made it this far. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you feel like 2020 is, how this has gone for you so far, or any thoughts that you've had, on this topic. I'd love to read them, and I don't know, I'll see you all again very soon with December's monthly reading. And before you know it, it'll be Christmas and New Year's, and we'll be just walking this path. All right, it'll come fast. So thank you all again so much. I hope you're having a lovely day whenever or wherever you are. All right, take care.